Hey, how's it going, everyone? Today I want to talk about crowdfunding and what that is. Crowdfunding is a method of raising funds for a project, venture, or a cause by gathering small amounts of money from a large number of people, typically via internet or social media platforms. It's a way to pool resources from diverse group of individuals, often referred to as a crowd, or to fund specific goal. This approach is particularly popular for startups, creative projects, charitable initiatives, or social causes. For those of you who are looking for resources and you believe that you have a real good goal to perhaps that you could accomplish if only you had necessary resources, I would highly recommend taking a look online, perhaps choosing the right platform for you to publish your project for which you are looking for potential funding for. Create a campaign. Usually it takes, for someone who haven't done it before, it might take a little bit longer, but usually it wouldn't take more than perhaps a couple hours to do, unless you need to make a video. Perhaps that just to be successful, I guess it might take a couple of days actually. When I think about it, but other than that, it shouldn't take to write down your project. It should take more than a couple hours, I guess. Create campaign, set funding goals, what you would like to achieve, what your resources that you looking to raise. You can always reward people who are offering their resources by different incentives. You can perhaps have more than 10 or 12 of those. Engage people who are looking to support you. Uh, Establish funding period. For some platforms it's 30 days. For some they allowing people to have the campaign running for 60 days. So do your own research, as well as some of the platforms charging perhaps 2%, some of them charging for overall using the infrastructure. They can charge you 5%. Take a look at that before uh, read all the contractual agreements, do your own research before starting and engaging in any crowdfunding. That's my recommendations. Once you have established funding period, uh, you can agree or for all or nothing approach or keep it all approach, depending on if you what's the reason why you're raising funds for. Funds disbursement and project fulfillment. Once you receive the funds, uh, you need to be conscious about what you actually gonna do with that money. Perhaps there's all kind of people up there, but usually if you raise the money for that purpose, you should do what you said you're gonna do. Crowdfunding provides a democratic way for individuals to support projects and initiatives they believe in, while also giving creators a chance to turn their ideas into reality without relying solely on traditional sources of funding. However, it's important to note that running a successful crowdfunding campaign requires careful planning, effective communication, and having compelling pitch to capture an interest of potential backers. If I had to give you an example, that would be my recent encounter with investment bankers and approach that they have, or mindset that they would have when it comes to potential resources and resource allocation for a particular project. They since they not necessarily working with their own capital, but at least mindset that they would have when it comes to sources and allocating those resources for different projects. They would look for a project to potentially be upside about 30-fold to capture their attention and what kind of project they would like to invest in. Uh, so that would be incentive that they would look for, but that's bankers, as well as they would look for compelling story and for business owners who can tell very good story. Yeah, so this is how investor bankers basing their decisions or what kind of projects they would like to invest in. If there is a farm somewhere, farm in mainland Africa, where they have a lot of Arabica beans, and due to current climate, global weather changes, uh, it didn't receive the necessary rainwater, and currently that farm can be potentially struggling with water. And if I had to raise funds to support that farm, that would be perhaps one of the ways how I could approach that. Perhaps not necessarily just approaching different governments and making sure that countries would receive necessary inflow of coffee beans, but perhaps I could approach individuals and looking for resources to fund this kind of project from individuals, not necessarily from governments. That's one way to go about raising capital for and saying compelling story, sharing that compelling story with people who might be interested. Myself, I'm interested in coffee. What can I say? There are different people interested in different things, I guess. For those of you who are interested, I have one crowdfunding project going on right now. If you would like to take a look at how to write down project summary, you can find that project in the description. If you're interested, feel free to perhaps support. If you do like the idea that I'm sharing within the project, it's for self-watering systems and how and what we are planning to do with that. Everything's in project brief. But other than that, yeah, that would be for perhaps as a template for anyone who haven't written any project before. They could potentially find that information and use that as an example for your own future projects. It's if that's something that you are interested in and you're looking for resources, one of them being finance, and you perhaps got a really good idea but not necessary resources to do that project. Yeah, so feel free to use that as a template if that's something that you're interested in. For those of you who are interested, I have published a journal, one that you can find on my company's website, or different distributors has it as well. Whichever way would you like to buy it. Places like Amazon has it. Journal is for making most of your time, your day. Key areas that everyone should focus on being how you make most of every single day that activities and the way how you're using your time within a day, making most of it. Some of the key areas that everyone should focus on, values, scores for your mood, way of thinking, personal education, how much time you're spending thinking about that, or and reflecting on your day, some of the actions that everyone should take during the day. Yeah, if you like it, or if you are interested, feel free to reach out to me. I can send you a copy, a signed copy, if that's something that you like to receive. Thanks, everyone. Just a quick summarize about crowdfunding and why everyone should know about it, why a lot of entrepreneurs then be looking for resources. I believe that crowdfunding most of the time would be overlooked, but I would recommend for everyone to at least take a look at what crowdfunding is and why a lot more people should care about it, especially those who starting the business and perhaps looking for extra resources. Crowdfunding crowdfunding can potentially offer accessibility to extra finance, and not necessarily best way, but that's just another tool that everyone should at least know about. Diverse funding sources, potentially engaging with the backers, building that pool of people who might be interested in your product or services. Validation, if you can potentially raise capital for your project, that would be another way of bringing that idea into fulfillment and perhaps engaging with the potential customers, creating independence, comparing to perhaps working with banks or a small group of people. You could potentially work with a large group of individuals, and that's just another way of perhaps receiving those finances. You could potentially offer something in return for people who might be interested in supporting your project. So it could be win-win situation for everyone, not necessarily win-loss. Yeah, so for those who did it, perhaps they already know that. I don't know what kind of facts I should highlight. But for those who haven't done anything like that, perhaps they might be interested in trying themselves. And from there, it could be one of those ways. I would recommend for everyone to try it. That could potentially be another way of engaging and marketing your product or services. You could potentially bring innovative ideas to the market if you have a very simple, perhaps small idea and not necessarily enough resources to do it yourself. You can do potentially you could engage with a large group of people and gather those resources. Yeah, you can work a decentralized way of operating, I guess, early stage funding. And if you got just an idea, as I mentioned before, technology readiness level, if you're at stage 1, not necessarily at stage 5, where you're looking to scale your business model. If you're running a charity or you're looking to support a particular social causes, you could potentially gather resources like that. You can be limited to everyone who has internet, a large group of people, not necessarily limited to just your community, where normally people would go to looking for funds. You can potentially reach out to every single person you can, depending on the platform which you're going to be using to publish your work. And you can do as a market test if you really got really good idea, where at least once everyone had thought they have really good idea, but once they have to execute that idea, it's might flop. I hope not, but that can happen. And you can start by building community like that, if getting people interested in what you have to offer. And it could be part of risk management. Yeah, some of those things that everyone should think of. Uh, Thanks for watching. I hope we all learned something today, and see you in the next one.